Hello everyone. As part of this section, we are going to see how we can create forms using React components. Okay. To start doing that, inside examples directory, I'm going to create another file called form example.tsx. Okay. I'm going to import React and component from React. Okay, this is the basic thing we need to create React components actually. And then I'm going to create our class form example, which extends component. Okay, and then I'm going to add the render method. So this class is just for triggering another component, which is going to be a form component for us. Okay, currently I'm just returning a div element here. Okay, hello form. This is just for now. Okay, and now inside the same class we are going to have another class. This is kind of an inner class. Okay, class person form. Okay, and this extends component. Okay, and we are going to make this class parameterized. Okay, because we are going to need them. And here also we are going to have another render method, and I'm returning an object here. Now this is the class which is going to contain the form actually, and let's add the form object here. Okay, I'm going to create sections here. All right, and first section I'm going to have the field as title. Okay, and then I'm going to have a select. Okay, as part of this select I'm going to have few options. Okay, and this option, let's say this is the default option we will have: Mr., Mrs., and Miss. Okay, and I'm going to give the values as to Mr. and here as well this is for Mrs. Okay, and then I'm going to have another div. Okay, and this div is going to be for first name. Okay, and here I'm going to have an input field. Type is going to be text for this first name. I'm copying this and I'm making this as last name, and another field I have added here as city. Okay, and maybe, okay, this is fine. I think these three fields should be fine for now. Okay, and then we are going to use this component in the form example. Okay, so inside this div, okay, I'm going to create, or I'm going to add the person form object. That's it. Let's save this. Okay, and I hope it has created successfully. Okay, we don't see anything. Okay, the reason is we have not referred it in the index.tsx file. Okay, I'm going to comment out the other files here because we are going to use something different now. And instead of class example, we are going to have form example. Okay, class example can be commented out. Okay, let's save this. Okay, compilation is successful and we have the form created here. Okay, I think I can close this debugger for now. Let's zoom out so that we can clearly see what we have here. We have the select, and as part of the select we have Mr., Mrs. and Miss, and we have the first name field, then we have the last name field, and then we have the city. So this is a very basic form object, or sorry, form screen we have created. Okay, now let's see how we can populate data in this one, and we should also be able to save this as well. Okay, so in order to populate this form with data first, okay, I am going to create a type here. Type is going to be person form props, okay, equals this. Now in order to bind a specific or particular object to a form, we can have another type here. Okay, as we are going to use person form, and the fields that we have here, the fields are title, first name, last name, and city. Okay, so I'm going to use these fields here. So first we have title and type is string, then we have first name, type is again string, we have last name, type is string, and we have city, again the type is string. Okay, and we are going to use this person type inside person form props. Okay, so this is what we are going to use now, and this one's type is person. Okay, all right, and the same person props we are going to use as the argument here, person props. Okay, and here we are going to display this value. Okay, value equals this dot props dot person dot title. Now here's a catch. So whenever the UI loads for the first time, and it is not necessary that every time this form loads this will have the person object. Okay, so if we have this code and no person object has been supplied to this form person form, then this will definitely break. Okay, because this person would be undefined, and on an undefined object we are going to call in title. Okay, so in order to address that, what we can do here is we can put a question mark here. Okay, just with the person and the question mark. So what TypeScript will do is TypeScript will first see if this person object available. If this person object is available, only then it will call the title. Okay, if the person object is not available, okay, then it will end the operation right here. It will not go for the title. Okay, so that is how it will work. Similarly, we are going for the first name field here, and I'm going to provide the value here as well. Okay, I can copy this entire thing and paste here, and I'm going to replace this with first name. I'm going to do the same thing here as well. This is going to be last name. Similarly, we are going to have the city. Okay, let's save this. Okay, we have an error reported by TypeScript. Okay, of course. Now we are telling React that we are going to use this person form objects. Okay, and this expects this person to be, to be passed whenever we use this person form. Here we have not passed anything, and that's why this is complaining. Okay, so now in order to address this thing, so what I'm going to do is inside render method, I'm going to create an object here. Okay, Clark. Okay, and I'm going to pass this one as title. Oops, not this. Okay, and the value I'm going to pass as Mr. Then first name is going to be Clark, and then last name is going to be Kent, and city is going to be Metropolis. Okay, and just for type safety, I'm going to give this as a type of person. Okay, now see, it has a type safety now. If I give anything here, immediately I'm getting a TypeScript compilation problem. Okay, so and now I'm going to pass this object as parameter to this person form. To pass this, we have to first properly create the props first. Okay, so I'm just going to name this as person form props. This is just a variable name, and I'm going to have a type for this. Person form props equals person, and I'm passing the value as Clark. Okay, and then we can pass this person form object here, give a curly brace, and then using the split operator, I'm going to pass the person object, person form props. Okay, as we can see here. Now TypeScript is happy here. Let's come down. Okay, so I think the compilation is successful. Okay, so let's come back to our screen and see. I have this data available already, just the way we have passed to the form object. We have Mr., we have Clark, we have Kent, we have Metropolis. Okay, now let's create another object, and just to see if the changes are working fine. Okay, this is Bruce, and this is going to be, last name is going to be Wayne, and city is going to be Gotham. Okay, and then instead of Clark, I'm passing here as Bruce. Let's save this and let's go back to our browser. Now we have Bruce Wayne from Gotham. Okay, so this is the way we can load this thing. Okay, and in case another situation I can show you. So as we already have covered a scenario when person form object is unavailable. Okay, so in that case we can make this person props as optional, and I'm just passing this one as, okay, not this, just an empty object I'm passing here. Okay, this should still work fine. Okay, see, we have an empty form because in this case, in our person form, the person object does not exist. Okay, now just remove the question mark and I'll show you what happens. Immediately it gave an error in TypeScript. If I come here, it says failed to compile. Okay, so TypeScript has already detected that there is, fair chances that this person object can be null or can be unavailable, because we have defined this as optional, and that's the reason we have this compilation issue. Now we are kind of fixing this by using this question mark here. Coming back, we have the data. Okay, now we are going to see the process of filling the form and then submitting it. So in order to fill the form and submit, there are certain changes we need to make in this form, and I'll start with the name field for all the forms. Okay, name fields, I'm going to use the exact same JSON field name for our convenience. That would help us maintain the form fields. Okay, name here is going to be first name. I'm just copying this thing here. This is going to be last name, and this is going to be city. Okay, then I'm going to have another method. Okay, and that method is going to be form update handler. Okay, and here I'm going to have updated field, and I'm going to have this as any. Okay, this is update, this is going to be update event. Okay, and this event is actually asynchronous, so in order to save this, equals to update event dot target. Okay, so now we have the target element here. So, and then I'm going to use this with all the forms here. Okay, and this will be called whenever there is a change. Okay, form update handler. Okay, the same method I'm going to use with all the fields and also with city. Okay, so every time there's a change in the input fields, it will trigger this form update handler here. We will receive that event here, and then we are going to read the target. Okay, but before using this, we definitely have to use the constructor. Okay, props is going to be person form props. Okay, and I'm going to call the super here with iProps. Okay, and here I'm going to bind this method. Bind of this. Okay, so note that I'm not showing any value here. Okay, now we are going to use the state. Okay, so in our case, the state is pretty much going to be of same type. Okay, so I'm just going to use this as a state. Okay, and this does not have the person object. Sorry, the person object is optional here. I'm passing this, and here I'm initializing the state equals to person. props dot person. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm initializing the state variable person with the person I'm receiving from the props, and now inside all the places wherever we were referring to props, we can refer to state. Okay, I'm just replacing the props with state. Okay. Okay. Now we should be able to use this form update handler. Okay. Now when we have received this target, we should read the value that is coming in the target. Okay. For that, I'm going to have another field, updated person. Okay. And the type of this variable is going to be person or any. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this here is there are fair chances that this object might not be available. Okay, that's the reason I have given any as well. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to first pass in the existing object available in state. Okay, dot person. Then I'm going to read in the name of the field. Okay, that is going to be target dot name, and then I'm going to pass in target dot value. Okay, and then I'm going to update the existing state with this updated person. This dot set state. Okay, and here I'm going to pass in the object directly. Okay, this should be fine. Okay, so what I did just here is first I'm handling that event in this form update handler. Okay, and I'm storing this target from this event into another constant. Okay, and then I created a variable updated person. I initialized the type with person or any. Okay, and then I'm creating that updated person. Okay, first I have passed the existing person object, and then I'm overriding the fields with the latest values. Okay, so if I consider this select element here, so every time there is a change, for example, in our case, if we assume that this is Mrs. Okay, so there would be a change event invocation. Okay, that time this form update handler will be invoked along with the value. Okay, will come here. So inside this event we'll have the target. That target is going to be this element. Okay, so now for this element we already have a name. See, title. So here we have given the name title. Okay, and then the value that we have passed in, Mrs. Here we are passing the value. So earlier if there were any older values of this title, so that would be overridden by the new value that we are passing. Okay, I'm saving this. Okay, and let's do one thing. Let's add a log. Okay, updated field, and I'm going to give the value as target.name. Similarly, and I'm going to give another log message as target.value. Okay, save this. Okay, now coming back to the screen. So this is the basic screen we have with nothing. Now we need an event handler as well. Okay, let's have the event handler. That is going to be used for submission of the form. Okay, I'm going to name the form as form submit handler. So we don't need to receive any argument here as this point of time. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to print a message, console.log, okay, form submitted with data, okay, and then I'm going to print the current state's person object. Save this. And in order to invoke this form submit handler, we need a submit button here, okay. So I'm having this button and I'm going to name give the type as submit, okay, and I'm going to give an on-click handler here as this dot form submit handler, okay, and we need to bind this inside the constructor as well. This dot form submit handler equals this dot form submit handler dot bind of this, okay. So now we have this ready. Let's go back to our browser. Okay, we have this button here, but it is not printing anything because we did not give any label to this button, okay. Submit. Now we have this. Coming back to the screen, okay. In order to see the log messages, I'm going to reduce this thing and along with having this console, okay. Type is defined but never used, okay. We'll come back this to warning later, okay. And now I'm selecting something here, Mrs. See the value. Updated field is title and the value is Mrs. I change it back to Mr. Field is title, value is Mrs. This is exactly the same value we are printing here. Again, I change back to Mr. Updated field is title and the updated value is Mrs. Sorry, Mr. Clearing this, first name I type as, you know, John, okay. See, we have 4 letters here, and for each letter stroke on the keyboard, it has printed 4 times. Okay, first for J, then J-O, J-O-H, and J-O-H-N. Okay, so this is how it is working. So similarly, this, you know, the last name, if we send it as or type in as Sina, okay, so again for last name also it has printed like this, okay. So this is how it is working. Now I'm clearing the console and I'm giving the city as New York, okay. I'm clearing this console again and I'm submitting now. Submit. Okay, looks like we have some problem, okay. The reason is the form submission event we have that is forcing the current UI to move to a different UI, and we need to prevent that. And in order to do that, we have to receive the event, and on that event we need to call prevent default, okay. And then I save this. And coming back to the screen, I'm clearing the console, selecting Mr. and then John, then Sina and New York, and clearing console, and then I submit this. Now we have form submitted data as undefined. Let's find out. Okay, so this is the problem actually. So this should not be under braces when we are using JSON key name. Only in that case we should use this square braces, okay. And the reason behind this kind of error is we have not initialized any data as part of these forms. Okay, so each field is expecting a default value. So there are two ways we can do it, and I'll go with the cleaner way first. And since this person object is going to be rendered in the form, and this person object in the iProps currently it does not exist, so in order to have a default value, I'm going to have a conditional operation here. If this person object exists, then I'm going to provide the person object. Otherwise, I'm going to provide default values here. Okay, title is going to be empty, and then first name is also going to empty, last name is going to be empty, and city also is going to be empty. Okay, so just to note, this behavior exists only with form fields. If this was a very simple, kind of UI, the elements in a normal dev, then this would not have happened. Okay, so this kind of behavior or binding we need to do only in case of form elements. Okay, I have saved this. Let's coming back to our screen, clear the console, select Mr., and then we have John. Console is happy, last name is Sina, and city is New York. I clean this and I submit this. Now we have the form submit handler executed, and this is the data we have. The city is New York, first name is John, last name is Sina, and the title is Mr. Okay, so this is how we can use forms. Okay, and the another way of handling this thing, what I was talking about, is we can come here, okay, and the value that we are providing here, okay, apart from this title, we can provide double pipe and an empty string. This also would have handled this. Okay, but let's go with what we have currently. So this is how we can use forms in React actually. Okay, let's go to the next section.